Shauna Lindenberg, all right, the Housing Department Manager. This has been your Business Spotlight with community advocates on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
Listen to the home of the 5K Gruber Cash Giveaway. 1017 FM, 1510 AM, WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. This is your 1017 The Truth News Update.
Hello, everyone. This is Rhea Riley with your news update. A jury finds a Milwaukee police officer guilty of negligence. Antonio Obregon ran over a suspect during a high-speed chase in 2020. The injured man, Ravid Smith, had sued the city and Obregon after the incident. He was awarded nearly $58,000 for medical expenses and pain and suffering. Dash camera video showed Obregon stopping to let his partner out of the squad car. He then drove forward over Smith. Suing bars for being liable in the death of Sade Robinson. Robinson's family is suing both Twisted Fisherman and Dukes on the Water, claiming both bars overserved 19-year-old Robinson, quote, until she was incapacitated, resulting in her death. According to the lawsuit, Robinson was not asked for a valid ID before being served alcohol at both bars. The lawsuit comes a year after Robinson's murder. The City of Milwaukee Public Schools will provide an update on lead mitigation efforts in school buildings this morning. 3 schools are still closed this week while lead cleanup continues. The update comes after the district's facilities director, responsible for assisting with lead cleanup, was fined for not keeping up his credentials. Sean Kane must pay over $1,300 in the next 90 days or risk his license being suspended. This has been your news update. Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris is next on the new 1017 The Truth.
Bringing you his authentic perspectives on important topics.
They live in suburbs together. They live in the city together. They hang out together, all in the same family. We're the only idiots that fight because we want our voice to only be on one side. Like, does that even make any sense? And when the side loses, you lose everything. They, on the other hand, have a voice no matter what because somebody that looks like them is always in control.
Frank, candid, and straight to the point.
Well, it's just a skewed system.
Of course it is.
It's a lot of judgment.
But answer my question, though. Should we let people go? Should we let people go? Like, let's just forget about bail altogether. And if your neighbor commits a homicide and kills people up, if you kill people and they next to you and you just let them come back and live right next to you, they can live upstairs from you. Let them come in your house.
Frank, candid, and straight to the point. This is the best radio show in the state of Wisconsin. Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth and the Truth app.
Now, he's the mayor of the city of Milwaukee. He's a young man. Give him a chance. I only complain about things that I care about. What I want you to do is pretend like I'm in St. Louis. And all I'm asking the mayor and the Common Council president and the Common Council, show me.
Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is Dr. Ken Harris.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number. It's Thursday, y'all. And you know what that means. It's the day after Wednesday. And if yesterday was pop-off day, can you imagine what today is? Can you imagine what today is? I got some stuff to talk about today. Whew. It got me turned up. I'm going to just admit that. It got me turned up. By the way, you can stream and watch us live on YouTube at 1017 The Truth. Make sure you just subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a minute of the live show. And now I got all this here stuff. All this here stuff. So let me do this. Interesting. So I have a question, and it's a serious question. I have a question, and it's a sensitive question. And it's a question that has bothered me for quite a while. And I dug and I dug and I looked and I looked. And I finally found the information I was looking for. Now, granted, it wasn't the information I was looking for because it was a little depressing. But it's something I wanted to ask you and then talk about. Because it's one of those things that disturbs me. And it's one of those things that makes me look at. And now my microphone just bloop. I'm telling you, it's Thursday. It's really Friday, but you know. You did? Well, at least I can say it was my fault. It's one of those things that troubled me for quite a while as I was growing up and looking at some of the issues that I had growing up and looking at some of the issues that friends of mine, people I knew, you know, like the first time somebody in my circle passed away, it affected me. And I have to slow down when I talk about it because then it kind of makes me release some emotional, stuff. And so my question, and I hope it doesn't catch you in a bad space. So I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to ask a question. If it bothers you, then just turn off. No, don't turn off the radio. Come back in about 8 minutes. All right? I was about to say something stupid. Turn off the radio. That's dumb. But one of the things I want to ask, one of the things that I want to explore, one of the things that I want to really take a look at is why are black children dying? Like, seriously, why are black children dying? And I'm not talking about children dying in gunshots and shootings in the neighborhood and community this and all of that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about children. I'm not talking about children getting shot accidentally. I'm not talking about all those things. I'm talking about when it comes to the life of a child in America, a black child. We need to ask ourselves the question, why are black children dying? In theroot.com, there's a story published today by Phoenix Haley. Phenix, middle initial S, last name Haley, Halley. Starts like this. We like to think that children are safe from dealing with the realities of racism and systemic oppression. Me personally, I'm tired of everything always being blamed on racism and systemic oppression. There are some things that we do that cause us strife. And I've been living with that. You, as a Truth Nation, has castigated me, called me stupid, called me dumb, called me, you're an idiot with a PhD. How could you think that? Blah, 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 blah. And you've held on to racism, and you've held on to quote-unquote systemic oppression. But a new study has found the stark opposite is true. Now, are there issues? Yes. The article says, while economic, educational, and political disparities remain issues in the black community, now we have something else to add to our already hefty plate of worries: the shocking death rate of black children. And so we look at these things and we want to blame everybody else for all the things that happen to us. And we do it in economics, we do it in education, we do it in politics. And I'll be talking about education today. I'll be talking about politics today. I'll be talking about economics today. But right now, we want to look at all those things, all those issues in the black community and how they affect the death rate of black children. According to a study by the Annals of Internal Medicine, not only are black children dying at a higher rate than white children, which I still don't understand why we compare ourselves to white children. It's just a weird thing. But this trend dates all the way back to 1950. It begs the question, how much progress have we actually made if black children have been disproportionately dying for at least 75 years? I'm not going to compare black children's deaths to white children's deaths to say, well, you know, the death should be like, what is a normal rate for children to die? Let's try 0. Can we? The title of the study, Excessive Mortality Rate in Black Children Since 1950 in the United States, analyzed mortality data, right? The deaths, the lifespans, from the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, and the U.S. Census Bureau between 1950 and 2019. With that, the death rates, life expectancy, expected years of potential life lost were all calculated. Based on the data, black children and infants were found to be twice as likely to die compared to their white counterparts. And that doesn't really mean anything, because twice as likely as doesn't mean anything unless you actually see the numbers that say this many and that many. One of the most shocking parts about the study is the estimated 5 million deaths that could have been prevented, including 522,617 infants. Now, you tell me, what are the causes, you think? What are the causes? We already know black people historically have less generational wealth, more debt, less support. According to the study, all this plays a significant part in the mortality trend. Of course, lower income, food insecurity. I don't know why we call it insecurity. You just don't have food. You need more food. You need more stores and all that. Less education, worse or no health care coverage were cited as factors that are present but not cause. They like to call it systemic racism, but is it systemic racism? We're really good at just lumping everything together and then lumping a community together, black people, and lumping all the issues together and saying we all have them when we all don't. We like to call it race-based inequity, discrimination. No, I'm not saying it's not present. I'm saying in many instances, it may not be the cause. And we spend an inordinate amount of time going through and looking at all those things that we believe cause black people not to survive, not to win, and not to do it. But we have to come to a realization. We have to come to the realization suicide, accidental death, things families let go and don't take care of, those small things, those little plastic things that you put in the plug Make sure your house is kid-proof. Make sure you don't leave drugs laying around. And when I say drugs, I'm not talking about illegal. I'm talking about mommy and daddies and older siblings' prescription drugs. We could knock this number down to almost zero if we simply took care of what we're supposed to take care of. So watch this. And I know I'm beating a dead horse. Studies show communities where residents are more educated are associated with less violent crime. That's why the suburbs don't have crime. That's why certain pockets in Milwaukee don't have crime. Less crime equals safer streets. Safer streets equals safer children. Now, if we support you with food, clothing, job readiness, you can literally prevent death. The narrative is that, black children, they're killing them. Parents are killing their black kids. Oh my God, is this? When in fact, much of the crime in the black community is occurring by virtue of education. And this study proves it. So while we sit here and talk about how much we love teachers, why aren't teachers fighting and walking the street for the children? You would walk and protest and show up for a raise. You show up for a check. And then some of you send your kids to public school districts outside of Milwaukee so you could say, I support public school education. But then you ask them, well, then where do your kids go? Greendale, Greenfield, Whitefish Bay, Menominee Falls? Right. Brookfield? That's a lie. Wauwatosa? You're lying. You're winning on a technicality. You just don't trust MPS. You want to stop the crime in Milwaukee? You want to stop the homelessness in Milwaukee? You want to stop the shootings? Train parents how to be parents. And then make sure kids go to school. Because the problem we have is we have a layer of parents that are uneducated. And now it's trickling down to their children. Eight 833-212-1017 is the number. Why are our, notice I didn't say your or those, our black children dying?
And that is Dr. Ken's Truth on the new 1017 The Truth. Milwaukee Black Talk.
You don't want to be there. You don't like the work. You don't like the people. Now, there are some differences. The only difference is modern American slavery and capitalism versus 19th century. We were dramatically more primitive back then. And a slave that is able to buy their freedom is the same as the disaffected, disgruntled worker that is able to buy their way into entrepreneurship because that for them is freedom.
Listen to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Life's better with American Family Insurance. Because whether it's a family road trip in your dream car or hosting a family reunion in your dream home, we help you feel protected so you can enjoy those dreams with peace of mind. Save up to 23% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Sharon needed legal help. She needed Gruber Law Offices.
When I think about Gruber Law Office, I think about how they took care of me. how they make sure that you get what you're supposed to get. Gruber Law Office. One call, that's all. I will always trust one call, that's all.
Injured? Call Gruber Law Offices today. One call, that's all.
They are the best. I'm very happy.
Are you looking for an opportunity to better the Milwaukee community? Do you want to develop your skills for a career or job? City Year Milwaukee is recruiting for its 16th cohort of AmeriCorps members. We are hiring young adults ages 18 to 25 to serve our amazing scholars in Milwaukee Public Schools. This opportunity allows you to serve your community and gain professional development, which will allow you to enter the workforce, your next educational journey, or even stay with us for a second year of service. Visit cityyear.org to connect with our local recruiters and learn how to apply by Friday, May 2nd.
This is Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number. Okay, we're done. I know I got to pick that up. I tell you. Life in the big city. Isn't it a kick? So before the break, we were talking about this whole thing with children dying, and it just disturbs me to no end. How are we going to start making changes? How are we going to make sure that our children have the opportunity to grow and expand and live and all those things? And I don't know. It's fairly simple. We have to hold parents responsible. And for some reason, we won't ask ourselves the question, why are our black children dying? Why don't we call out bad parenting, bad things that people do? Why do we give people a break? And then later, when it blows up in our face, we want to blame somebody else. For the life of me, I don't understand that. And I just for the life of me don't understand what it is that we do. I don't know. What are your thoughts? 833-212-1017 is the number. You can give me a call, hit me on the talk and text line, YouTube chat. I don't know. All I know is that things need to change. And do we have the internal fortitude, the power, the will to actually change? CBSNews.com has a story today. MPS Sean Kane no longer serving as Director of Facilities and Maintenance, effective immediately. The person in charge of handling the lead crisis has been removed from his position for MPS. District announced today
Sean Kane is no longer serving as the Director of Facilities and Maintenance Services effective immediately. Several students have tested positive for lead, and multiple schools have been treated for lead contamination. And we learned Kane was fired by the state on April 1st for claiming to be a registered architect. Well, I'm sorry, he was fined. My bad. He was fired by MPS. That's a requirement for his former role. You got to be an architect, a registered architect. You have to understand buildings. Have to understand how they work, the structure, live load, dead load, paint, all that, roofs. The Wisconsin Department of Safety and and how did we even get this far? Like, dude, how did you have a job where you needed to be a registered architect and nobody in the entire MPS administrative structure even bothers to check? Like, what is that? Hey, every year, yeah, I need you to go do a such and such. What? Yeah, you got to get a background check. You got to get this. You got to get that. You got to get this. You got to get that. Every year. Every year. This dude's been in his job how long? The Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services says Kane was not registered for the first few years he held the job. He now faces a $1,300 fine. Lead has been an ongoing problem at MPS, has been addressing since January of this year when a student confirmed as having lead poisoning at Golda Meir. But will anybody think about suing the school? No. You can't. They ain't got no money. 7 schools have tested positive. Where was this guy? At a news conference today, MPS Superintendent Brenda Casellas stated multiple times the district can't comment on personnel matters. It would not confirm if he had been fired, but did state he is separated from the district. That's a dumb statement. You work in the public sector. If you got fired, if I got fired, it would be all over the news. Hey, Lieutenant Harris got fired. Poof. Oh, that's right. We only bash the police. We don't bash firefighters and teachers. Anyway. At the news conference, Milwaukee Health Department Commissioner Mike, I can't say his name, Totoratis, said he never wants to see someone else lose their job but called Kane's separation a necessary move. Yeah, you do. If you're not doing your job, you need to be separated from your job. The district said 2 people will lead the department in the interim. The first is Michael Mannon, director of, what's MHD? Home Environment Health at HEH Division. I don't know what that is. Milwaukee Health Division, I guess. Health Department, Home, Environmental Health, HEH Division, and Mike Terza, who previously worked as a leader in the district before retiring. Mannon will be supporting MPS full-time. Terza on a day-to-day temporary basis. You're only about a decade or 2 late. That lead has been sitting in those schools for decades. That's just that set of kids. And God bless them, we found it in time, hopefully. But what about the hundreds of kids that have passed through Golda Meir, the 7 other schools, and all the other schools that still need to be tested? I'm not going to bash him because he's no longer with MPS. But that says a lot about MPS. And if the superintendent had anything to do with him no longer being in charge of maintenance, she did the right thing. If that's the type of superintendent she's going to be, she's going to go in and you don't do your job and you have no training and you don't have this, you're done. How long has he gone without being licensed? How do you keep a job without they'll tell you, by the way, you lose your certification as a law enforcement officer. You can't work here anymore. Like instant, boop, done. You got to go to the state and get a waiver, and then you got X amount of time, and then this, and if you don't, boop, you're done. Unless you work for MPS. But then you just got to work for days, weeks, months, years, decades. Yeah. Oh. they gave it a good try. Well, I don't think so. And so out of all the things that are causing our children to die, of all the things that are causing issues for our children, right? What did they call and say to you? Somebody called and said, did my children go to MPS? I didn't grow up in Milwaukee, and my children grew up in Milwaukee. They did not go to MPS on purpose. Because coming from Chicago, they would have had to go to certain schools, and I can guarantee you 100% if I lived in Chicago, they would not go to public schools. I am not against public school education. I support public school education. I pay taxes in the city of Milwaukee. I'm perfectly fine as long as it's a good school and my children are going to learn, going to excel, and be at the top of their class. That's it. And that is something that you should expect for your school, your student. I don't have a problem with everybody getting an A if they deserve an A. It shouldn't be in comparison to other kids. It shouldn't be in comparison to what the curve is. If you get an A, it's an A. If you get a B, you get a B. We're done. But my children did not go to MPS. And the reason they didn't go to MPS because I was not happy with the MPS schools they would have had to go to because I know the constraints that schools put on you depending on where you live. And I live on the north side of Milwaukee. And I did not want my children to go to that school. I also didn't want my children to go to a school that was so, at the time, predominantly white or predominantly Hispanic that they lose a grasp of what it means to be black. And if white parents lie and say that they don't do that, and Hispanic parents and Asian parents lie and say they don't do that, that's a lie. I have absolutely no problem. I want my kids to be in a school that looks like them and represents them. As they went to high school, different story. I need to now prepare you to go into a world where the world don't look like you. Everywhere you work, everywhere you go, everything you do, every neighborhood you live in, depending on the neighborhood in the city, they're not going to look like you. So get used to it. Learn to code switch, talk back and forth, right? And for those of you, before we go to break, who think I don't have to code switch anymore and all those things are over, I can just talk the way I want to talk and dress the way I want to dress and be the way I want to be, we don't own those companies. So if you don't conform, you won't get paid. So when we talk about DEI being gone, I don't think it was ever here. I don't think it was ever here. And it's like Spike Lee said, we was robbed, lied to, bamboozled. And now on 101.7 The Truth, Milwaukee Black Talk Traffic, here's Debbie Lazica.
Northbound on 43, still backing up from the Marquette all the way up to Keefe. On the southbound side, slowing from Capitol Drive all the way down past an accident scene off on the right shoulder at Fond du Lac Avenue. Stays heavy all the way down to the KK River. Westbound on 94, we do have a crash right at 35th Street. That is blocking the right lane right now. So delays coming out of the Marquette all the way to Mitchell Boulevard. Eastbound is backing up as well from 68th Street all the way through the stadium. Southbound on 41, you're looking at delays from about Appleton Avenue all the way down past Capitol Drive. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, low of 37. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. A chance of rain later on in the evening, a high of 45 at the lake, 51 inland. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazica on 101.7 The Truth.
Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris returns after this on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
As a fellow veteran, we understand what it means to serve on a team. A suicide on a team is devastating and a real risk for veterans. If you or someone you know is struggling, reach out now. Reach out WIS.org for local resources available to you and your loved ones.
Paid for by Advancing a Healthier Wisconsin Endowment with support by the Medical College of Wisconsin, the War Memorial Center, and reachoutwis.org.
Keep your business safe, secure, and spotless with the Omega Security Guard and Cleaning Team. Proudly located in Milwaukee and female-owned, Omega delivers professional security and tailored cleaning services to meet your needs. Whether it's event security or a custom cleaning plan, their dedicated team goes above and beyond to exceed your expectations. Because at Omega, they're not just your service provider, they're your partner in peace of mind. Contact Omega Security Guard today or online at omegasecurityguard.com. Omega Security Guard and Cleaning, protecting what matters most.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
At Great Impressions Graphics and Printing, they've been proudly serving the community for over 26 years. From their location at the corner of 54th and Burleigh in Milwaukee, their dedication to quality and customer satisfaction has made them a trusted name in printing and design. Great Impressions offer a wide range of services, including banners, posters, yard signs, business cards, programs, and postcards. Plus, they specialize in custom apparel printing, perfect for family reunions, sports outings, business promotions, and more. For your next project, visit greatimpress.com. That's greatimpress.com. Great Impressions. They're here when you need them.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
Truth Nation, let us talk our ish for a moment. There is no other station in the country where you get a front row seat to hear from some of the biggest names in politics, pop culture, and sports. People like Grammy Award winner John Legend.
Knowing that fight isn't over, knowing that we've got to stay motivated and stay inspired. Glory was the song that myself and Common wrote. Two brothers from the Midwest, from Chicago and from Springfield, Ohio.
Oscar Award winning actor Don Cheadle.
I know that we're the bright, shiny thing that sometimes gets the attention, but I would say don't listen to celebrities. You don't have to listen to us. Listen to yourself.
And President Donald Trump's son, Don Jr.
When did we have a strong economy? And I don't think anyone with a straight face can say right now. And the reality, when you look at it, it's not even voting for my father. Look at the team that's now surrounding him.
Tap into the award-winning and nationally recognized 1017 The Truth by downloading the Truth app and streaming us live at 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Milwaukee Black Talk.
This Associated Bank Sports Update on 1017 The Truth is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Brandon Snide. After starting the season 0-4, the Milwaukee Brewers have now won 2 straight games, including a series win over the Royals on Wednesday, thanks to a walk-off bunt single from Bryce Terrain in the bottom of the 11th inning.
First pitch, bunting it up the first baseline. It's a good bunt. Racing home is done. He will score. Bryce Terrain gets the job done, and the Brewers walk off the Royals on this Wednesday afternoon. And the crew, after dropping Game 1 on Monday, have won the series against Kansas City.
The 2-4 Milwaukee Brewers now will welcome in the Cincinnati Reds to begin a 4-game series. Tonight's first pitch set for 6:40. And lastly, over to the NBA, where the Milwaukee Bucks will be on the road in Philly to take on the 76ers. Tip-off is set for 6 p.m. This sports update brought to you by Associated Bank, proudly supporting your hometown teams. Member FDIC.
You are listening to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number. What y'all talking about on the... You know what? The YouTube chat line, y'all be in a world by yourself. Y'all supposed to be listening to the show. And y'all jaw-jacking and ripping and running and talking about weed. Yeah, I tell you. 833-212-1017 is the number. Ralph said, Dr. Ken, the lead problem is responsibility of the MPS school board, and the folks who hire should face some culpability for the lead contamination. Well, they can't force any. I understand what you're saying, but they can't force any culpability because, one, you hired a professional to tell you that. You should have had a person screaming and hollering every single day, like, we're tired of this person, we're going to fire them. We've had administrators, people that got laid off, fired, quit, MPS, that have been telling you for decades these are issues in MPS, and nobody listened because you wanted status quo. You had families that had jobs at MPS. You had cousins and aunts and uncles and spouses and all that. So you can't just blame the school board. People saw things broken and they worked, they got their pension and they left, and they never said a word. I would have lost my job. I would have. Right. And what you're telling me is that you don't care about kids. You don't care about kids. It'd have been tough. You'd have struggled for a bit. You'd have found another job, and that would have been that. But if you have a reputation as a whistleblower, you mean telling the truth? See, whistleblowing is drawing attention to the things that are wrong and that ought not be so that everybody is safe. You're telling me that you're a snitch, which is odd because snitching is actually something you do. You're actually telling the truth. How's that bad? Unless you're the person someone's telling the truth on. That school board wasn't there. They weren't elected when that lead got put in there as paint. But based on the information and the tests they did, they should have known that the paint had lead in it. And you err on the side of caution. You don't err on the side of, well, we'll just test all the schools. It's 156 schools. But that would have been easy to do too, right? Bring in 156 people, one person for each school, or God forbid, divide it out. Divide 156 by 4 or 3 and get about 30 people and send them out. You got X amount of schools to do, get it done. And they would have got it done. And when they were done in 6 months, we would have said, these are the schools that need to close. These are the schools that need to, we got some. But instead, we just sit back and collect our check. I wonder. Let me check something. Because it's public, I just thought I'd check. As of March 2025, the average salary for a director of maintenance in Milwaukee is around $142,854. Think about that. That's average. Salaries can range from $133,502 to $224,352. Just on average, if you're a director of maintenance in the city of Milwaukee. This is from ZipRecruiter, national averages, stuff like that. National averages is 196. I'm not saying salary has anything to do with what you do, but this is me. The more money you make, the more attention you should be giving your job. Significantly more. Because if you're getting paid more, that means you're responsible for more. And I don't fault this guy that they let go, relieved from his job. I don't fault him. I fault the people over the decades that let kids sit in lead and did nothing. And we were too busy testing for drugs and testing for all these other things when, in fact, we should have been testing for what? Lead. We should have been testing for lead. We should have been going in and talking to these children and figuring out what it is that's bothering them. And we might have found that ADHD or the slothfulness or whatever the byproducts are of lead poisoning is. Yeah, I know I said it twice. It comes down to they were derelict in their duty. And so if some of the parents aren't educated and they're not getting information from MPS because they're not saying anything, where do you get this information from? And now we are where we are. We have a school board that's derelict in their duty, every single one of them. We have principals that are derelict in their duty because they didn't scream loud enough. If you're doing something and somebody can come behind you and say, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? That person that I think would say that to me is the person I'm going to complain to. And then I'm going to turn that around and go, why didn't you? I told you. You should have given me some direction. You should. Now watch this. Somebody on the MPS board probably knew. Somebody at MPS, and I know a good number of principals, male and female, black, white, Hispanic, phenomenal leaders. I'm pretty sure somebody went back and told them. But then again, you don't want to hear that because I have area superintendents and I just, as a superintendent, filter that out. And no area superintendent is going to tell you some bad news that you want to hear because they want to keep getting paid and keep their job. So what do? You say nothing. And it perpetuates. For seconds, for minutes, for hours, for days, for weeks, for months, for years, for decades. And now we are where we are. Something got set back in the 1950s that is causing our black children to die. And we got nothing to say.
Don't touch that dial. More of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
It's Kyle Wallace, host of Truth to Power on the award-winning 1017 The Truth, and I want you to tune in every day from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. as I engage in a community conversation I know you want to hear. From topics like our property tax bill price hike, which I know had us all shaking our heads, to the incredible MPS students getting millions of dollars worth of scholarships to pursue their dreams, I have you covered, Milwaukee. So tune in to Truth to Power every day from noon to 1 p.m. on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on YouTube.
Escape the city and relax at Lake Lawn Resort in beautiful Delavan, Wisconsin. Enjoy outdoor activities on Delavan Lake. Tee off at the lakeside Majestic Oaks Golf Course or unwind at the award-winning Calidora Spa. With both indoor and outdoor pools, there's fun for the whole family. Take a cruise on the Lake Lawn Queen. Explore stunning shores and historic landmarks. And enjoy delicious food and drinks on board. Book your stay today at lakelawnresort.com, where everything is better at the lake.
Are you looking for an opportunity to better the Milwaukee community? Do you want to develop your skills for a career or job? City of Milwaukee is recruiting for its 16th cohort of AmeriCorps members. We are hiring young adults ages 18 to 25 to serve our amazing scholars in Milwaukee Public Schools. This opportunity allows you to serve your community and gain professional development, which will allow you to enter the workforce, your next educational journey, or even stay with us for a second year of service. Visit cityyear.org to connect with our local recruiters and learn how to apply by Friday, May 2nd.
It's 1017 The Truth's Dr. Ken Harris. You know, there are times in everyone's life when life tosses you a curveball. You have to readjust, realign, and rededicate your resources to making things better. Sometimes you may know what to do. Many times it's the first time you've ever faced an issue, especially when it's financial. For the last couple of decades, I've been able to turn to Educators Credit Union. I had a financial issue that involved another family member, and I was able to go in and get advice and a plan. I'm here to tell you today it worked. At Educators, our members are our purpose. As a credit union, we're not concerned about profits or the bottom line of shareholders. Our greatest reward is you achieving your financial dreams through lower rates and access to free financial resources. Experience more heart and less hassle by making the switch today. Achieve more at ECU.com. Insured by NCUA, membership eligibility required.
More of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Breaks my heart that I have to tell you this.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. There's been a lot of buzz surrounding the draft that's coming, but you won't find one seeping through Pella's Windows and Doors. There's no buzz, there's no sound, there's no draft. In fact, you should make Pella your number one pick because right now you can take advantage of no interest financing options or free glass upgrades. Their talented designers and installers can match your unique home through seamless customization. Certain restrictions apply, and the deal ends April 30th. So place your free in-home consultation request today by going to PellaWI.com. That's PellaWI.com. 833-212-1017 is the number. I was harassing them on the talk and text line. You ain't multitasking. Can't none of y'all multitask. So I'm looking at the YouTube, and they going back and forth. Hey, how you doing? How's your day? So Miriam said, I think withholding crucial information like, lead poisoning, stuff like that, should be against the law, especially if it's a matter of health and safety. Well, usually withholding crucial information is because it's about health and safety. Now, here's the problem we have, Miriam. If we get a law for every single thing we don't like, soon we'll lose all of our civil liberties. They'll chip away and chip away and chip away to the point where you won't have any at all. And you'll have a socialist government who tells you, by the way, these are the times you can use the bathroom. These are the times you can brush your teeth. These are the times you have to take a shower. If you want to wash clothes, you got to do it like this. You got to use this temperature. You can't use that temperature. You got to use this soap detergent. You can't use that. Like, do you really want to live that life? Because if you do, I'm okay with it. I just don't want to do it here. I like my freedom more than that. So I'm not really open to letting people tell me what to do and not to the point that when it's bad for you and you continue to do it, like drugs, alcohol, guess what? You reap what you sow. Does everybody reap what they sow? No. Every now and then there's grace that, will step up and smack you in the back of the head and be like, hey, what you doing? What are you doing? And it doesn't work. So I get it, but y'all not multitasking. Quit it. 833-212-1017 is the number. So CNBC reported yesterday that the U.S. Treasury Department is slowly eliminating paper checks. Donald Trump, president, signed an executive order requiring all federal departments and agencies to switch to electronic payments. And guess what? Who's going to make money on electronic payments? You got it. In a statement, the White House said electronic payments are an attempt to modernize how the government handles money, leaving old-fashioned paper payments to fast, secure electronic payments. Paper-based payments, such as checks and money orders, impose unnecessary costs, delays, and risks of fraud, lost payment, theft, and inefficiencies, the White House said. And that is true. With the September 30th deadline, the agency has an estimated 6 months to phase out paper checks used for tax refunds and close to 456,000 Social Security monthly mail checks. The order forces all government departments and agencies to issue disbursements with electronic transfer methods, direct deposit, digital wallets, debit and credit cards, and real-time transfers. So here's what I like about it, and here's what I don't. Companies that handle electronic transfer fees are going to make out like a fat rat and get filthy rich. But after that, Kiplinger, as a directive of Trump Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, is expected to embed exceptions for individuals who don't have access to banking services, specifically in cases like emergency payments. Bessent is scheduled to submit an implementation plan for such measures within 180 days. That's 6 months. And it's amazing because you only got 6 months to do it. Amazing. Anyway, So here's my deal. That's why we have Educators Credit Union. Like, one of the reasons why we talk about it, they're not as, what's the word I'm looking for, onerous, not onerous as a bank, technical as a bank. They're not as the rules for them are a little less than rules for big banks like Chase and all that stuff, right? Associated Bank, they have their place, and they are phenomenal partners here at 101.7 The Truth, right? But Educators Credit Union is for the members, right? It's for the members. So as a credit union, they're concerned about profits, bottom line of shareholders. Their greatest reward is you achieving your financial dreams through lower rates and access to free financial resources. So experience more heart, less hassle, and that's why, right? They're going to be changing up all these things. If you don't have an account, if you want to figure out whether or not you have membership eligibility, because membership eligibility is required, and you want to achieve more, ECU.com. Go in, apply. You know how much money you need to have your account? $5. Open up a credit union account at Educators. $5. Membership eligibility, even if you're not eligible, you can get some free financial resources, and they can help you. This is where you need to get to go, credit score or whatever, this, that, clean this up. And you can actually, become a member. And that way, when you get your Social Security check, when you get your tax refund, you have an account to send it to, and it's right there. And you have access to it. You have an app. It's secure. All those things that now that you're complaining about, Donald Trump doesn't care anymore. Checks are not safe. People are stealing them. They're replicating them. They're stealing people's money, their livelihood. Or you could just go to ECU.com, fill out a form, go into the office, sit down, and figure out what is it you need to do in order to make your money safe, make your money grow, and benefit your family.
Truth Nation, Gruber Law Offices, and The Truth have raised the stakes for this year. The One Call, That's All Gruber Cash Giveaway is now a $5K giveaway. Yes, you heard it right. $5,000 giveaway. Every weekday on 101.7 The Truth, you will have the chance to be entered to win the $5K giveaway. Listen to The Truth for the One Call, That's All cue to call for your chance to win $5,000. Gruber Law Offices, One Call, That's All. Visit 1017thetruth.com for official contest rules.
From the biggest plays on the court to the comments made in the locker room after, an in-depth recap of every Bucks game in 6 minutes. No more, no less. Bucks in 6 provides game recaps for every game. Hear the high-flying dunks from Giannis.
Puts it on the floor, spins down the lane, and plunges it through.
Or the deep threes from Dame.
Dame time has arrived with 107.
Bucks in 6 on the Bucks Plus Audio Network. Find it now on bucks.com/plus or on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcasts.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive, like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex, how did the interview go?
I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. Feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
Nathan has taught me to embrace the moment. Age-wise, I'm in my late 60s. I'm old enough to be his grandfather. Will he be embarrassed to acknowledge me as his dad? I think the most important thing we can do is let them know that they're safe, that they're valued and cared for and loved, and that they're important.
I knew I wanted to be adopted by him because of how he taught me to be the person who I am today. And it's coming from a dad that didn't expect to become a dad, and I feel very proud to be his son.
That was what he needed, and he was what I needed. Every day is full of new opportunities. That's what it's been about, realizing the simple things that it takes to make such a huge difference in these kids' lives.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Get the truth and nothing but the truth with Sherwin Hughes every weekday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on 101.7 FM, 1510 a.m. WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. This is your 101.7 The Truth News Update.
Hello, everyone. This is Ray Riley with your news update. A jury finds a Milwaukee police officer guilty of negligence. Antonio Obregon ran over a suspect during a high-speed chase in 2020. The injured man, Ravid Smith, had sued the city and Obregon after the incident. He was awarded nearly $58,000 for medical expenses and pain and suffering. Dash camera video showed Obregon stopping to let his partner out of the squad car. He then drove forward over Smith. Suing bars for being liable in the death of Sade Robinson. Robinson's family is suing both Twisted Fisherman and Dukes on the Water, claiming both bars overserved 19-year-old Robinson, quote, until she was incapacitated, resulting in her death. According to the lawsuit, Robinson was not asked for a valid ID before being served alcohol at both bars. The lawsuit comes a year after Robinson's murder. The City of Milwaukee Public Schools will provide an update on lead mitigation efforts in school buildings this morning. 3 schools are still closed this week while lead cleanup continues. The update comes after the district's facilities director, responsible for assisting with lead cleanup, was fined for not keeping up his credentials. Sean Kane must pay over $1,300 in the next 90 days or risk his license being suspended. This has been your news update. Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris continues on the new 101.7 The Truth.
Bringing you his authentic perspectives on important topics.
They live in suburbs together. They live in the city together. They hang out together, all in the same family. We're the only idiots that fight because we want our voice to only be on one side. Like, does that even make any sense? And when the side loses, you lose everything. They, on the other hand, have a voice no matter what because somebody that looks like them is always in control.
Frank, candid, and straight to the point.
Well, it's just a skewed system.
Of course it is.
It's a lot of judgment.
But answer my question, though. Should we let people go? Should we let people go? Like, let's just forget about bail altogether. And if your neighbor commits a homicide and kills people, if you kill people and they next to you and you just let them come back and live right next to you, they can live upstairs from you. Let them come in your house.
Frank, candid, and straight to the point. This is the best radio show in the state of Wisconsin. Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app.
Now, he's the mayor of the city of Milwaukee. He's a young man. Give him a chance. I only complain about things that I care about. What I want you to do is pretend like I'm in St. Louis. And all I'm asking the mayor and the Common Council president and the Common Council, show me.
Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is Dr. Ken Harris.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number. All right, let me set this up. Click there. Click that. Oops. Do it again. Click that. All right, we set. Winky Blue, you're in the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. What's up?
Hey, good afternoon to you, Doctor.
How are you?
Now, Doc, I'm blessed. Now, every time, just when I think you got it, you switch on me. Now, when it comes down to this government moving the checks out of the way, okay. But then you said something else. You said that this is safer. Doc, I'll be totally honest with you. since we've moved to this digital world, things has not been this unsafe in all of creation. And I think it's a move, me personally, it's perspective,
right?
That this is a move to do away with money, period.
Sure.
But guess what? See, with that money, it says this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. See, once, Doc, you go to the digital movement, it's no longer private. It becomes a recorded transaction. That PayPal, that Cash App, all of this Zeal. Okay, well, then it becomes no more privacy. Now it becomes now we talk about getting rid of government, but now government is pushing to be in your business. They're stealing whole houses, man. You don't even, if you had to go in and get a hard copy of something for a bank, you'd have to go in, show ID. In some cases, man, you even have to take a fingerprint.
Right.
This digital movement is a bad thing, Doc.
You still got to do the same thing. You still have to submit an ID card. They got to take a picture. I just did it today. For the government, they got to take a picture through your camera phone. So there are things that are built in. I think what's happening is with change, people assume that it's not safe because they're not used to it. But here's the kicker.
But they're still
let me ask you a question. Sure they are. They've also come in and lied to you and had friends. Yes, they have. I have friends of mine who lost their $1 million house because they trusted somebody to do a refi to get some work done, and the paperwork they signed the house over to the person, and he sold it out from under them. And they literally had to move.
That can happen. I have aunties to do the same thing to me.
But what I'm saying is that when you talk about, now let's go back to money. And I'm not arguing your point. I'm just making the other side.
Okay.
The American dollar, like most dollars, I can't talk about other countries. The American dollar is a fiat currency. What that means that it's government issued, but it's not backed by anything. The dollar meant something, and I would have an issue switching over to digital if it was still backed by gold. But because it's not backed by gold or silver, it's based on trust.
Well, what is it backed by?
It's not backed
that's
by
why
anything.
They're sending somebody to Fort Knox right now, right?
Not. You can send them to Fort Knox right now. The American dollar is a fiat currency, and it is not backed by gold or silver. That means you trust that the person that you're giving a $20 bill to will have the confidence to look at it as a $20 bill. When you give it to the federal government, you hope that it's legal tender under government regulation, and it allows transfers and all that other stuff. But the bottom line is, if they decide that they don't want to,
become a cashless society.
If you become a cashless society, you trade your house, you trade your shoes, you trade your skill, your service. But bottom line, I feel you. I got a problem with it too. But it's inevitable.
Yeah, listen here.
It's inevitable.
Down in the 3 Square Market in Kenosha, Wisconsin, right now.
Yes, sir.
They've got a place called 3 Square Market, and they right now their employees don't use any keys or anything. They have inserted a chip, and the guys that designed the chip is right there in Oshkosh. 3 Square Market. The chip goes between the pointer and the thumb. And at first, it was only 50 employees that went for it. Now they got over 200 employees.
Okay.
And this is where they're trying to go with this whole cashless movement, man. It becomes a chip society because then, guess what? We don't have to worry about any identification fraud. This new ID card thing that they're coming out with, that's going to be, duplicated and manipulated. So they're seeking to get that ultimate ID in you and I. Okay, that there will be no more fraud. And I don't think Donald Trump, I don't know what's wrong with it. I mean,
but I'm not going to go for that. I'm not taking anybody's chip or you implanting anything in me in order to pay for anything.
Why are you going to pay your bills?
Then I just won't pay them and I'll be homeless.
And then what about when they pull you over for driving, you ain't got your ID on your chip that they scan?
I'm not going to drive.
Doc, come on now. I think this should be a discussion.
I'm gonna be too.
This is a heavy discussion.
First of all, I'm speaking for me. I'll be too old to care. But we also, us as Christians, recognize what Scripture says about taking the mark of the beast and being able to, not being able to eat, move around, all that, unless you have the mark. And some people think that it's digital currency. Some people think it's Bitcoin. We can get some preachers in here and have a discussion about it. But in the end,
the chip is a heavy thing, though, Doc.
Sure.
Doc, I got to get out of here. I'm taking up somebody else's time, but I appreciate the conversation, man. But this is a discussion that needs to be had for real.
Yep. 833-212-1017 is the number. It's just one of those things. I mean, you know, at some point you got to have that discussion. What are you going to do? Are you going to eat? Or are you going to use a card? Everybody talked about, oh, social media is terrible, terrible. Then everybody use social media. We don't need a digital card. Now you can't pay nothing without a card. Touch it with your phone. Your phone already tracks you everywhere you go. Your phone already, tells you, hey, do you like that store? You just passed that store that has, But that's just where we are. I'm just saying.
Number 5.
From Fox6Now.com, a 27-year-old Milwaukee man accused of pulling a gun on a security guard and a second person at the Target distribution center in Oconomowoc back in January has been taken into custody by U.S. Marshals. What do we know? According to the Oconomowoc police, on March 11th at about 11:30 a.m., Keon Hawthorne was taken into custody at a residence in Milwaukee. A warrant had been issued since Thursday, January 30th. Hawthorne was initially charged with first-degree reckless endangering safety, 2 counts, disorderly conduct, use of a dangerous weapon, and misdemeanor bail jumping. Following further investigation, Waukesha County District Attorney's Office amended the charges to include attempted first-degree intentional homicide. According to the criminal complaint, Oconomowoc police were dispatched to the Target Distribution Center on Valley Road shortly after 6 a.m. Sunday, the 26th of January, for a complaint of a man with a gun. First officers arrived on the scene, searched the parking lot after being told suspect had left the building, and officers were unable to locate the person or anybody matching that description in the parking lot. Went to a building, spoke to a security officer. He indicated there was an argument in the front lobby between 2 employees, one of them the defendant, and the episode is captured on surveillance camera. They say the subject pulled out a gun, pointed it at the security guard and the second person. Security guard was able to knock the defendant's arm upwards, causing the defendant to stumble backwards. Didn't appear that any shots were fired, and it was at that point the second guard crawled into the women's restroom where he called 911. And so they finally got that person in custody. Made its initial appearance on March 12th. Cash bond was set at $100,000. I find it interesting. I find it interesting in these suburbs and in the city, as a matter of fact, when we set bail, that's what we need to watch as it relates to how we're doing things in the world, right? Black guy does something, bail is set at $100,000. Somebody else does something, bail is set at $20,000. And then they pay it and they get out. It just makes absolutely no sense to me. Like, how do some people walk around and other people don't walk around and, all I had to do with a gun and so it's a gun, so it's major. Yeah, okay. And when you're a threat to somebody else's life, what is that? Right? I mean, at some point, I'm just saying.
Number 4.
Speaking of, a New Berlin, Wisconsin police officer is accused of misconduct and stealing drugs. I think you need to understand what kind of drugs he stole. He's accused of stealing. New Berlin police officer is charged with misconduct in public office, accused of stealing DEA drugs meant for canine training. 45-year-old Kevin Dotson, D-O-D-S-O-N, faces 1 felony count of misconduct in office, acting in excess of authority. So what happened? Back in May of 2024, a New Berlin police sergeant discovered that certain drugs that were issued to the department by the DEA were missing. The purpose of the drugs is for canine training. The sergeant brought the drugs to a training session in Fond du Lac only to discover the drugs were missing. Drugs were stored in Pelican boxes with 2 steel boxes. The complaint goes on to say that the DEA issued the drugs to the department in September 2022. They were last used for training in November 2023. And what was missing? 28 grams of black tar heroin, 28 grams of cocaine base, 28 grams of cocaine HCI, 28 grams of heroin HCI, and 14.2 grams of methamphetamine, 2 to 4 bags. In addition to the missing drugs, note cards that documented the weights were also missing. They believe the theft occurred between November 28th of 2023 and May 7th of 2024. When not in use, they're stored in a pass-through locker at the New Berlin Police Department, accessible with a key through the keyed locker in the evidence packaging room in the basement, or are accessible through secure property room. Now, let me tell you something about a secure facility as it relates to property and drugs. You have to go through a significant number of things in order to get access in the same room with drugs. If you're a police officer and you arrest somebody with drugs and you take them to get tested at the department, they take them, after you take them, package them, all that, get them weighed and put it up. Usually only one or two people, very few people have access to that particular place and handle those particular things. So it's not like it's hard to figure out who did what. Investigators said that they looked at video surveillance from the interior property of the room camera, identified 12 instances of unauthorized access to the locker between November 2023 and April 2024 by Stephen Dotson. Based on the video, key card access, and time card resources, investigators concluded that the only person present during the unauthorized entries was Stephen Dotson. Dotson did not have consent to access the locker and what was in it, and based on his job duties and responsibilities, he didn't have need to have access to it. McGuanago police, August 21st of 2023, responded to a report of an unresponsive man in a vehicle later identified as Dotson. Slumped forward in the driver's seat against the seatbelt, abnormal breathing, gave him Narcan, and rescue personnel later arrived and gave him oxygen and woke him up. He didn't know why he was on the ground, why everybody was standing around him. He didn't even know what day and time it was. Taken to the hospital and tested positive for cocaine and fentanyl. On April 1st, 2025, West Dallas police say Dotson hit a traffic pole on 70th and Greenfield. He was twice the legal limit and had his loaded .40 caliber personal owned handgun in the car. He got 3 tickets: OWI, misdemeanor count of a firearm while intoxicated. So, you know, we talk about, now here's my kicker. How did this dude stay on the job that long? Somebody must have noticed that he was doing it, or he was like many people. He was just a functioning drug user.
Number 3.
So I've been looking at certain things, and I've been wondering what exactly is going to happen, and it's unfortunate, but it was bound to happen. From JS Online, the U.S. Postal Service is making delivery changes. And so the question, another question of the day, what does that mean for mail in Wisconsin? As part of President Donald Trump's efforts to increase government efficiency, I guess everything going to be blamed on that now, the U.S. Postal Service, and rightfully so, the U.S. Postal Service implemented service changes this week that could slow down mail for some members. Changes came just weeks after U.S. Postmaster Louis DeJoy, who was appointed during Trump's first term, stepped down from his role. Before resigning, he announced plans to shrink the U.S. Postal Service workforce and enlisted the Department of Governmental Efficiency, spearheaded by Elon Trump. Or is it Donald Musk? One of those. So Musk said last month, Elon Musk, he thought it should be privatized, a suggestion that drew widespread backlash from unionized postal workers who say privatization will increase postal prices and decrease service. Hey, question, DJ Brother Z, do you wait longer for Amazon or do you wait longer for the post office?
Post office, I guess.
And so if you could privatize the post office, keep them at their same rate, and then give them the logistics that Amazon has, along with UPS and FedEx, who all do a phenomenal job at delivery, you think we can get our mail faster?
I don't know. I'm not too familiar, I guess.
So you've never gotten anything from UPS?
Not really.
Or
I always
FedEx?
order at Amazon.
Okay. Thank you for making my point. And so at some point, we have to just realize that there are a lot of inefficiencies in the Postal Service. But we're talking about people that work day in, day out, cold, hot, all that, and they walk. But if you're going to do it and you're going to walk, some people need to deliver packages, other people need to deliver mail. Can I put mail with my package? Like, I don't know. It's something that has to be looked at. And the American Postal Workers Union keeps protesting stuff, but you're losing billions of dollars, and so people are going to get laid off anyway. You're losing billions of dollars a year, and I guess you think it's okay just because we're used to it. I think people are used to Amazon. Yeah, when you get used to Amazon delivering stuff, do you realize that I've wait 2 days or put things that I need every month on subscription and order it through Amazon so I don't have to bother going to the store? You know how easy that is? And we complain about it, but I'm like, I don't know. But then again,
number 2.
There's some things that Axios.com talks about that makes me feel kind of sad. We don't know it's going to happen. We're just estimating and hoping it happens because I guess people want it to happen. President Trump talked about prices going down, but the new tariffs might do the opposite. And so when I see people write articles, and it's not an opinion piece, but write an article as if it's factual, I have an issue with that. Supermarkets are where Americans feel the most affected by inflation. Groceries, food hit the hardest. If the tariffs take effect, are the things mostly not grown or harvested in the U.S. going to get higher? For example, okay, I got to take a deep breath. Coffee, chocolate, vanilla, bananas, fruits, and vegetables from South America, and a lot of shrimp, and the berries you buy in the winter. Here's my suggestion. Eat what's grown in America and then be done. And if it's not grown in America, stop eating it. Now, I'm not pro-tariff. Well, I'm kind of pro-tariff if it works for us. Anti-tariff if it works against us. But implementing the new reciprocal and baseline tariffs on top of the other taxes and imports already imposed by the White House would increase fresh produce prices by 4%, food prices by 2.8%. Well, number one, they already went up. Number two, I'm not for or against tariffs or for or against Donald Trump. The bottom line is tariffs have always been here. So why are we screaming and complaining and crying about something? I want to force them to make those things here. I heard Sherwin talking about that this morning. All it's for is to force people to make it here. And when people and DJ Brother Z makes widgets cheaper than OGDK Dr. Ken, they're going to buy from DJ Brother Z. And if they tell DJ Brother Z, hey, dude, your prices are too high, you know what you're going to tell your workers? Hey, I can't pay y'all as much as y'all got before because you were getting, we just can't afford it right now. And we keep talking about it's going to take months and years and decades to bring all this manufacturing back. It won't. It won't. See, the problem that we forgot is that all of the Let me rephrase that. Many of the places that we got rid of when we shipped manufacturing overseas are still there. Have you seen Milwaukee? You got a Master Lock plant that's still sitting there after they moved and shipped stuff out. Go along Center Street. It's right there. It's right there. So it's not like America doesn't have it. Will we have to retool it? Will we have to change it? Yes. Will that take some time? Sure. It'll probably take somewhere between, 2 to 3 years. Guesstimation. But the bottom line is we have to start looking at those things, because otherwise the people that lost their jobs won't have jobs to go to. Now, I'm seeing a lot of places turn because our younger people don't want to go work for big conglomerate organizations. They want to work. Some of them I'm seeing now want to work in the trades. They want to use their hands. They want to build something. They want to see what they do. And I'm all for that. That's education. Doesn't matter if it's a trade or degree or whatever. That's education. And I think that's going to be something we look forward to. But we got to get out of this not liking everything because it's Donald Trump, not liking everything because it's Joe Biden. There are some things that were positive for you, and you need to take advantage of it. We have to take advantage of it if we, as a people, are going to move forward.
Number 1.
And so that leaves us to the actual tariffs themselves. The tariffs themselves. One of the surprises from yesterday when they announced about the tariffs was that Trump administration used a surprisingly simplistic approach to calculating the much-hyped reciprocal tariffs. This is from Axios.com. Why does it matter? It's because this is not a finely tuned set of import taxes calibrated to exert pressure on trade partners and all that other stuff. It's a simplistic arithmetic based on overall trade data that became the justification for the most sweeping U.S. duties in generations. A trade-weighted 22.5% tariff, this is per the Yale Budget Lab, up from around 2.4% last year. It implies fewer off-ramps for companies that seek tariff relief and less potential for de-escalation. So if tariffs are applied without regard to the details for each country's economic policies, what is there to negotiate? Well, the administration confirmed that there was a simple formula behind the reason. Because Vietnam was slapped with a 46% tariff and Norway gets 15%. Well, why is that? Well, the formula is to divide U.S. tariff deficit with each country by that country's exports to the U.S. The final tariff number was then divided by 2, with a minimum of 10%, which applies even those countries with which the U.S. has a trade surplus. So while individually computing the trade deficit effects of tens of thousands of tariffs all over the place, regulatory, tax, other policies, and all that stuff, the combined effects can be proxied by computing the tariff level consistent with trade deficits, if you could get them to zero. What does all that mean? All that means is that if you're for us, you got a break. And if you were against us, as it relates to how much money we made from your country, you didn't. But even if you believe it's not good for the U.S. to run large, persistent overall trade deficits, it doesn't imply that there's need to be balanced trade with every individual country. And that's something we need to take a step back and look at. So depending on U.S. consumer demand, which I'll buy, for a given country's exports, for instance, butter that's made in Wisconsin that goes to Canada has a 200% tariff on it. Why? Because Canada doesn't want American butter there. They've got their own farmers that they want to have it. Make sense? So whether it seeks to buy U.S. financial assets and myriad other factors, even in a world where there's balanced U.S. trade, some countries would be expected to run a surplus and others a deficit. Not everybody has the wherewithal to trade with America the way America can trade with them. Here's part of the issue. If we got a minimum 10% tariff on everything, Even on countries where the U.S. runs a surplus, it implies that tariffs of more than 4 times their previous levels are a new minimum that will apply to the rest of the world, no matter how a given country responds to the U.S. That means it's going to be difficult to negotiate the changes because you've already set in place what the minimum is. So if another country's at 4% and we charge them 10%, and you already said our minimum is 10%, we have an issue. We have a problem. This isn't an easy fix, but it's not all good, and it's not all bad either. So stop looking at it from a black and white point of view and let it shake out. The markets are going to go. If you saw the markets today, they were on something today. Let me tell you, they were on something. But we have to be careful. We have to be careful. Take a step back. And one of the stories I'm going to talk about today was kind of funny because it talks about whether or not you should be saving and all these other things and the financial issues. And we're going to talk about all that when we come back. You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris.
Don't touch that dial. More of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Here at the new 1017 The Truth, we aim to be a staple in Milwaukee's Black community. We are committed to partnering with local organizations and supporting Black-owned businesses. We are proud to call Milwaukee our city and promise to be a positive reflection of our community. We look forward to celebrating Black culture and excellence with you every day as we make history and continue to uplift the voices in our city. Join us for the journey at the new 1017 The Truth, founded by Gruber Law Offices, Milwaukee Black Talk.
The Alpha Phi Alpha Delta Chi Lambda 7 Jewels Foundation Incorporated has supported over 125 young men through the Young Gentlemen's Scholarship Botillion.
We're asking for your support to help continue this important work and empower the next generation of leaders. Through this program, young men receive mentorship, personal development, and scholarships to achieve their dreams.
We need your help to raise over $20,000 in scholarships, including a $5,000 grand prize.
Call 414-364-2835 to make a difference today. Support the Botillion, invest in the future of our young men.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
This message is sponsored by WisCaregiver.com. People across Wisconsin are enjoying the rewards, stability, and flexibility of a career in healthcare. Why not you? WisCaregiver.com gets you started. Choose between 2 great options. Become a CDCP, Certified Direct Care Professional, or a CNA, Certified Nurse Aide. Training is free. Plus, earn a $500 bonus. It's easy to start your new career. Learn more at WisCaregiver.com.
This is Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Drop it. Yep. Yo, G, this beat is kicking.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number. Before I get the call, let me see what's going on in the token text line. What y'all talking about? Dr. Ken, I have 2 questions for you. One, in your opinion, is the difference between black power and black excellence. Black excellence is black power. That's my answer. And so black excellence is what you have. Black power is how you exercise that excellence. Number 2, which one of the concepts do you think may be beneficial to us? Both. What I would say is consider removing the word black. Have power, be excellent. Some consider the word black as being less than. I don't. But I remember somebody playing in a golf tournament and they walked up to a person and said, "Hey, where'd you go to school?" Because, they were into the Yale and Harvard and Princeton and Dartmouth and all that other nonsense. And somebody said, "Oh, I went to Central State University. And the person, who was a white male golfer, said, oh, that's pretty good. They're good schools. Good second-tier schools. And that's the kind of idiocy we have to deal with. So sometimes we may have to take a step back and readjust and not be so fast to publicly say certain things so that people can then use it against us. Now, I'm not saying don't be black. Never. I'm saying be you. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But I guess what I'm saying is know your audience. Al, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. I hope you as well as the listeners. But I'm kind of confused here.
Yes, sir.
Will those terrorists will even do anything for America when you have an unelected American cutting people off and losing their jobs? So how is the terrorists going to do anything for the United States when we have an unelected man who's not American calling the shots?
Well, one has nothing to do with the other, number one. Number two.
Really?
Really? You asked, so I'm answering. One has nothing to do. Well, you can assume it if you want, and you can guess if you want, but he's an employee of the federal government. So because he's unelected,
he wasn't elected, though.
It doesn't matter. He works for the government. The guy that came and took your money for the IRS wasn't elected, but he sure took your money and will lock your butt up in jail if you don't pay it. Right? No. Is that correct?
Yeah, maybe so.
No, not maybe so. You know the IRS, if you don't pay them, they go, come on. See, you just don't want to admit. Okay, go ahead.
No, but
go
you
ahead.
can do it. My question to you, because somebody like Elon Musk who don't have your education tell you what's right for you?
Huh?
Because my thing is, we have an unelected American who knows nothing about America dictating what America needs when they need to be focusing on what's going on in Africa. But they can't go back there because they're not liked. So what I'm asking is, could somebody who don't have as much education as you say what kind of education you need?
Yep.
Whether if they was hired.
Watch this. A lot of parents do it every day. I'm sure your grandparents may not. No, you asked the question, so don't try to. No, it's not. See, listen to what you just asked. Can a person that doesn't have as much education as you dictate what education you get? Parents do it every day. I'm not necessarily. I'm not on the Trump side. Oh, okay. I don't know what world you live in now, but many of our grandparents. Let me finish. Many of our grandparents never even graduated from high school, but were able to make sure their children not only graduated from high school, but went to college and became
that's wonderful.
Great. So the point I'm trying to make is it ain't got nothing to do with whether or not you're elected or not. I'm just answering your question. Okay.
All I'm saying is if I got an education, my grandparents don't have a right to walk in my shoes and tell me what I got. They got to get
They're the reason why you got it. They're the reason why you got it.
So
they're the reason why you got it. If they didn't sacrifice for you, you would not be here. Don't think you did anything by yourself.
For America.
We ain't talking about Elon. Oh, come on, you just
I'm
switching
using it as an example, a metaphor.
But it's a really.
I'm using it as a metaphor.
Well, in my estimation, it's a pretty poor example. And the reason I say that
it was good for me, but toodles, whatever. But get American to make that decision. Not illegal. His brother said that too, by the way.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
So now we hate people so much that we find fault in every single thing they do. I'm not happy people are losing their jobs. I don't think people should lose their jobs like that. They should be a little more surgical and move a little slower than they're doing right now. I think it's ridiculous. But the positive part of that, people don't want to look at because it's Donald Trump and it's Elon Musk. The issue I have with it is y'all wasn't complaining like this when all these private sector people was losing their jobs. When they laid off all them people from Northwestern Mutual, y'all losing. Oh my God, it's terrible. You didn't care. Now all of a sudden you care because it's Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Pay attention all the time. When Democrats are in office, when Republicans are in office, independents are in office, pay attention. All of them are jacking us, and we do nothing about it. We only care when it's a Republican, but a Democrat can come in and let your city just... Okay. Let your yay be yay and your nay be nay. Just be straightforward about it. And be consistent. Or, as your generation likes to say, be fair. Hold them to the same standard that you hold everybody else. I don't think that's too hard. Hold everybody to the same standard. But we don't do that. You keep talking about him being unelected, but you let government officials come in your house every day, tell you what your house is worth, tell you how much taxes you got to pay, all that. None of them are elected, including police, including fire. None of them elected. They're employees, and we let them in. They ain't got a problem with what they say. They can tell you, you can't even go in your house. You can't go in your house anymore. It's uninhabitable. Because we decided it's uninhabitable. And you don't do nothing about that. Why so many government people are losing their jobs, I don't know. Is it over? Is it over hiring? Do we just have too many people there? Well, we don't know. We need to shake that out. And I think we need an independent third-party auditor who's not Elon Trump and actually go in and take a look at it. And now for 101.7 The Truth, Milwaukee Black Talk Traffic, here's Debbie Lassica.
Well, we got an accident on westbound 94 right at Moreland Road, and that's got things backed up all the way from the county line all the way past that point to Brookfield Road. Eastbound 94 slowing down from Springdale through the Barker Road area past Brookfield Road, back on the brakes from 84th Street all the way through the Stadium interchange. Oh, and by the way, westbound 94 also going to be solid out of the Marquette all the way to Hawley Road. Southbound 43 slowing from Capitol all the way through the Marquette to Lapham. The northbound side is heavy out of the Marquette up to Keefe. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight, partly cloudy skies, low of 37. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, some chance of rain later on in the evening, a high of 45 at the lake, 51 inland. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Laziga on 101.7 The Truth.
Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
At U.S. Cellular, we believe loyalty is never a one-way street, so we love finding new ways to say thank you to our customers. This is why we're hosting Us Days again. It's our exclusive in-store event to celebrate you, our loyal customers, with unique offers for everyone. Visit our stores during Us Days until April 23rd to take advantage of offers up to $1,200 off of any smartphone and up to $500 off of any tablet. This is the perfect time to upgrade. Come into any U.S. Cellular store for more details. U.S. Cellular, built for us.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer. Our policy is to provide equal opportunity employment, development, and advancement to all current and potential teammates. If you are an organization that maintains a job bank, provides employment information, or gives job referrals, you may request to be placed on the station's mailing list for future career opportunities. To learn more about careers at Good Karma Brands, please email careers@goodkarmabrands.com.
It's time for Truth Takes, a thought-provoking commentary on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. Here is Tory Lowe with his truth.
As I reflect on my journey, I'm reminded of God's blessings and guidance. I've been fortunate enough to accomplish some remarkable feats, including walking 750 miles from Milwaukee to Washington, D.C. in honor of the Civil Rights Movement. I also walked against violence from Milwaukee to Chicago and back for 7 consecutive years. My feet are still recovering, but my spirit remains strong. I've been privileged to advocate for victims of police brutality, search for missing persons, and participate in numerous protests. Last year, I was honored to visit the White House with my colleagues from 101.7 The Truth to discuss pressing issues in the Black community with the Biden administration. Throughout my broadcasting career, I've received several first-place Wisconsin Broadcast Association awards for The Tory Lowe Show. I've also had the opportunity to be part of ESPN 94.5's Packer pregame show at Lambeau Field. As I look back, I am grateful for the incredible journey. Salute to my brothers and sisters on the front lines. And thank you for your tireless efforts and dedication. We're in this together, and I could not have done anything without the love and support of my community. I want to remind you to keep pushing forward, stay vigilant, keep your head on a swivel. Green don't always mean go, and look both ways before you cross the street. And always look out for one another. In 2025, we still got a lot of work to do. God bless you, and I love you.
This has been Truth Takes on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Listen to The Tori Lowe Show, weekdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
This Associated Bank Sports Update on 1017 The Truth is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Brandon Snide. After starting the season 0-4, the Milwaukee Brewers have now won 2 straight games, including a series win over the Royals on Wednesday, thanks to a walk-off bunt single from Bryce Terrain in the bottom of the 11th inning.
First pitch, bunting it up the first baseline. It's a good bunt. Racing home is done. He will score. Bryce Terrain gets the job done, and the Brewers walk off the Royals on this Wednesday afternoon. And the crew, after dropping Game 1 on Monday, have won the series against Kansas City.
The 2-4 Milwaukee Brewers now will welcome in the Cincinnati Reds to begin a 4-game series. Tonight's first pitch set for 6:40. And lastly, over to the NBA, where the Milwaukee Bucks will be on the road in Philly to take on the 76ers. Tip-off is set for 6 p.m. This sports update brought to you by Associated Bank, proudly supporting your hometown teams. Member FDIC.
More of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number. You know, there are times in everybody's life when life tosses you a curveball and you got to readjust and realign and rededicate your resources to make things better. Sometimes you have to just, do what you got to do, but you may not know what you got to do. And so many times it's the first time you've ever faced an issue, especially when it's financial. For the last couple decades, I've been able to turn to Educators Credit Union. I had a financial issue that involved another family member, and I was able to go in, get advice, and get a plan. And I'm here today to tell you that it worked. That educators, our members, are our purpose. As a credit union, we're not concerned about profits or the bottom line of shareholders. Our greatest reward is you achieving your financial dreams through lower rates and access to free financial resources. Experience more heart and less hassle by making the switch today. Achieve more at ECU.com. Insured by NCUA, membership eligibility is required. But what do you do? So you save all that money and you go through things and you buy a house and you go through life, and sometimes you got to go fix up your house. And that's why I'm here to tell you from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, there's lots of buzz surrounding the draft, but you won't find one seeping through Pella's Windows and Doors. In fact, you should make Pella your number one pick, because right now you can take advantage of no-interest financing options or free glass upgrades. Their talented designers and installers can match your unique home through seamless customizations. Doesn't matter if it's a brand new home, it's a year or two old, or it's historic. Certain restrictions apply, and the deal ends April 30th, so place your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com. That's PellaWI.com. Sandra, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
Hi, Dr. Ken. I'm back.
Hey, what's up? What you want to argue about today? What you want to argue about today? What's up?
I wasn't arguing yesterday. I was just telling you how I felt about
that's what you don't.
The money being spent.
That's what you don't call that? Okay.
No, I don't call it arguing. No. I only argue at my husband.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I fuss with him, but other than that, but not too much, just a little bit sometimes. But no, I was just going to talk about now where I work from Allen Bradley Rockwell now. When we got laid off, they would tell the union, and then they would let us all know. But the office personnel, they would give them a box and just go up and kick them out the door. Yep. They didn't warn them or nothing.
Right, and that's
what they did with the office personnel.
That's because they weren't union, in that they understood that they were at will employees, and that you can just get bounced if they don't like you or you're doing something they don't want. Yeah.
But that's what they're doing now. Getting rid of all these people, they go to work and they don't have a job anymore.
But you don't have. Listen, that happens to the private sector every day. I never saw a union person complaining about a person in the private sector getting fired. Never.
Well, the thing is, with the private sector, well, they don't come to the union, and they probably can't because then they fire the people that come.
You're missing my point. When you get fired, when you get fired, it's traumatic, and your family loses income, and you're stressed.
Right.
I never saw the union when all them people got laid off from Northwestern Mutual years ago. All of them people, I didn't see unions running up. Oh my God, it's terrible. Let's support them. That's all. You're okay. All right, I'm done. You're missing my point. You're missing my point. That's okay. All right.
But why did you want the union? Wait, but why did you want the union to come to them and they never paid
anybody losing a job is anybody losing a job. So why are we screaming and complaining because people in the government are losing their job? People in the private sector have lost their job for years, and nobody in the government ever said a word. Come on.
I'm not screaming. That's what they wanted. So they got it. They got what they wanted. That's why I look at it, because I saw the citizens of it from Jump Street. But anyways, I called them into my grandparents, too. My great-grandparents, they had opened a school in the house years ago.
Yep.
So they opened a school for so they could study, the kids can study and stuff. And then we had to use outhouses. And so I said, now I look at the parks. Now you got to use outhouses at the park. I said, what's wrong with the park?
You always had to use outhouses at the park. Yeah, but you're going to put up, like...
They have bathrooms in the park.
Yes, ma'am.
They have bathrooms all the time.
Yes,
but,
ma'am.
That's all I was really going to say.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
Okay, then. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. 833-212-1017 is the number. Al, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. How are you?
Hey, good, Dr. Ken. How are you?
Good.
I like your common sense approach to not panicking over this stock market fall. I remember October 87, and they had the big crash.
Yeah.
And by April 88, they were hiring me at Strong Mutual Funds. So that was like 6 months later, and they were back roaring again. The thing here, I think, that people are freaking out, they watch it every day, but you have to understand the stock market is emotional. It's not actually what's happening now. It's what people think the future is going to be like, and they go back and forth every day. So don't go pulling your money out, though. What I did, though, I did get out of those index funds of the S&P 500 and move to mid caps, and I really haven't seen much loss off of that. But, anyway.
I stayed in S&P 500 because I know when it goes down, that's when I try to find as much money as I possibly can. I don't even talk about a lot, so I can buy in when it's low, and then when it goes up, I make more money.
Yeah, and then you were talking about getting around these.
Right.
You're getting around these tariffs by eating some homegrown goods. You also get around the tariffs. You don't have to buy a new car every year. You could buy last year's model or the year before.
Yeah, but the problem is they're too expensive. So you got to pay to get it fixed.
But they're not being as expensive, though. Say you bought 1 year ago. So you bought
cars,
the 24 or the 23?
Some used cars are more expensive than some new cars.
Okay, well, get a 1 year sales manager's car that he drove around 1 year.
Yeah, okay, that's easy for you to say because you got a job, Al.
Well, anyway, recently I just found out that I was eligible to start taking my pension from Northwestern Mutual too. We had a union back then too. I only worked for them 7.5 years, and I guess they're offering me about $600 a month. I'll take that. So anyway, get invested. Get in that 401k when you get in. You can also use the funds to purchase your down payment on your home. So
and whatever the minimum is you can put that in. Because get
the 3%.
Whatever they offer, because over time, you're going to make a decent buck. Because it's your money. You're saving it and investing it. It's yours. Yeah. I have to? Oh, I'm behind? Wow.
More of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Life's better with American Family Insurance. Because whether it's a family road trip in your dream car or hosting a family reunion in your dream home, we help you feel protected so you can enjoy those dreams with peace of mind. Save up to 23% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
It's 1017 The Truth's Dr. Ken Harris. You know, there are times in everyone's life when life tosses you a curveball. You have to readjust, realign, and rededicate your resources to making things better. Sometimes you may know what to do. Many times it's the first time you've ever faced an issue, especially when it's financial. For the last couple of decades, I've been able to turn to Educators Credit Union. I had a financial issue that involved another family member, and I was able to go in and get advice and a plan. I'm here to tell you today it worked. At Educators, our members are our purpose. As a credit union, we're not concerned about profits or the bottom line of shareholders. Our greatest reward is you achieving your financial dreams through lower rates and access to free financial resources. Experience more heart and less hassle by making the switch today. Achieve more at ECU.com. Insured by NCUA, membership eligibility required.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Happy kids heal faster, and that's why Starlight is dedicated to improving the mental well-being of sick kids across the U.S. Learn how at starlight.org.
Call Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
You are listening to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Where did the time go? You were supposed to be hollering at me. Well, actually, he was hollering at me, so I want to say thank you. All right, thank you, Al and Miriam, and not really a city girl, and Essie, and Wig Moppins, and Lana Banana, and Sandra, and Vincent, and all that. So, Al from Sherman Park, thank you. Appreciate you. Had a great time today. Time's moving on, so hey. Thank you, DJ Brother Z. Appreciate you.
Dr. Ken from 46, let's get it.
All right, God bless. Take care. See you in 22.